Alright everyone, welcome along So, I thought it was time to review, what have we been up to in 2022? And is there anything that we should be looking forward to for 2023? So, for me this year, right, we've watched Power BI develop a lot, and a lot's come forward in the platform and what we can do with it and how we can use it to do more and make better stuff forward. So we've seen the introduction of data marts coming through. It's a premium only feature at the minute. Hopefully it'll come down or something will drip down into Pro. But data marts I think are going to make a massive change to the platform over the next year or so. So it's definitely something I'll be keeping an eye on. It's definitely something I can see with a few of my clients that would really benefit from them. But obviously the preview feature would definitely wouldn't be something we look to put into production. Data flows, the expansion or the change, the move away from Power BI only data flows towards data platform flows. So you've got much more integration with Synapse and the other side of Azure and the whole data platform that Microsoft offers. It's a huge change, and it's something to definitely be aware of when you're starting to think about the enterprise scale of your platform and of your deployment. As part of that, Microsoft have also put Power BI Desktop into the Office suite. Now, I've looked at my Office suite stuff in Geordie Consulting. It's not fully there yet. I don't know if we're just not a big enough client or what it is, but watching that going forward is going to be really key. It's still a problem for us with lots of clients that, frankly, keeping Power BI Desktop up to date, it's a struggle for them. Not all businesses want to enable people to use the store. Where we see the store in use, I'll be honest, it works really well. You know, kind of picking and choosing specific areas that you're happy for your staff to be able to install. Managing it that way as a software deployment solution works really well, but it is something businesses are struggling to kind of come around to. The introduction of formatted tables. Now, formatted tables in themselves, honestly, I'd avoid them like the plague. They're useful, but they're problematic. They bring as much problem as they bring solution. But what they are introducing and what they are the leader of is bringing through paginated reports into Pro. So November, December, we started to hear rumours that paginated reports are coming through. It's been approved or acknowledged. It is coming, but it's still a feature in progress. So won't use it today. It's not going to be available immediately, but it's definitely something that's coming, and formatted tables are that introduction step. We've also had two amazing features that have really kind of leapt forward in their maturity. So Charticulator is one that I need to spend a lot more time in. Getting to know how to use Charticulator to build charts for your organization is going to stop you having to rely on third-party additional buy visualization layers. So, you know, if you don't have to buy a better bullet chart or a better whatever, Charticulator is your friend. It takes time and effort to get used to it, and it's something I need to bring into my skill set fully, but I can really see the value of it. I've played around with it a little bit, I've really looked at it, but I haven't had that chance to really hammer it home in anger, as it were. The last one is one that honestly for me is a complete game changer. Field parameters. Now, looking back at the library of videos we've done stuff about disconnected tables. Now, field parameters really are the embedding of disconnected tables into the platform. You can use them against axes, so you can pick like something that contains a number of values and use those as an axis with a field parameter, or you can use them with your measures, so you can actually have a list of measures and you can pick and choose which ones you want to see in whatever visual layer you've got. Now, this does so much for people that I don't think enough has really been covered with it, so we're going to cover some more of it in the future, I think. Definitely, in fact, I know we will, right? So that's kind of the platform changes that for me have been the massive highlights of 2022. In terms of my experiences, in terms of the consultant side of what I do, okay, we've had a few things that have just keep coming up, right? Almost every conversation I'm having with clients these days fits one of these four, okay? Now, the first two, you're going to say, well, they're the same, aren't they, right? So Kimball schema and data modeling. What I was meaning by putting it down as two is that you've kind of got the theory side, like the Kimball schema side. Oh, this is how we're going to build our data. This is what we're going to do. We need to think about fact tables, and we need to think about dimensions and how those link together. Data modeling is that whole structure, that actual practical side of putting it together. So it's one thing to talk about, oh, we're going to use Kimball schema. It's another thing to say, well, how are we going to draw those in together so that we can put fact tables in the right place? How do we get the data for that fact table? How do we gather it in from source all the way through to visualization layer? So those are kind of really important things to think through. Those two together are going to make or break really your whole Power BI deployment, or to be honest with you, any kind of analytics environment that you want to put through. Get your data modeling wrong and it's a nightmare. Okay? User experience. Now this is a difficult one. All too often we'll say, well, we want to do this, right? And we won't think about user experience. What is the user experience that you are looking for in your data analytics environment? Now, a big thing for me, and the reason why I do what I do and why Power BI was the thing for me that I wanted to use, is around this idea of democratization of data. Yeah, suddenly anybody can use the data. Anybody has access to it. Anyone can make insights out of what they're finding. And that's not just about making a nice pretty report that's easy to use, is it? It's about how do we use that report, that data that we've pulled through, to really leverage insights back into the business. Okay? How can we take what we've done and make it recursive so that benefit is coming in, so that the insights of somebody from the sales floor can be really understood and pushed into other areas of the business? That's a challenge, and that's something that I think a lot of people have really struggled with this year. It's still something I have a lot of difficulty with clients. That's probably the wrong word. I think that clients have difficulty in terms of understanding, and it probably roots back to the biggest issue I have with the Power BI platform as a whole, which is that Power BI desktop it's a great application, but there are some things in it that are just like, oh no, and drive the wrong behaviors. One of them is that you can't separate the data set from the report layer. So you kind of always have to have those two together when you start Power BI. And I think that's the bit that causes the biggest headache in terms of kind of getting that idea to land within people's minds. And the last one, right? Dates. Okay, dates. Calendar tables are still a huge issue for so many people. The amount of reports I see where they've still got auto date time ticked, and by the way, Microsoft, I'll just let you know, almost all your demos you do when you're looking at the new features that are coming through in the platform, you've got auto date time ticked. Please untick it. It makes a huge difference to consultancies to not have that visible all the time. Oh no, I'm copying what they've done. Nah, man, get it turned off. With those in mind, dates are important. You will have to, for your business, have a corporate calendar, right? So we'll talk about that as well. Got a couple of other things I really wanted to take you through. Okay, just talking about it and sort of saying, well, this is it, see what you think. Right? So the two big things that this really comes into, and where we're going to try and do some videos going forward, right, in terms of the next season that we'll do, right? Critical thought. So this is the whole user experience part, isn't it? In terms of how are we driving people to make the right decisions? How do we get insights coming through? How can we leverage the analysis cycle that we've got? Yeah? And don't forget, we've got it in here, haven't we? So we've said we're going to analyze stuff, we're going to evaluate it, but how do you make that work? How can I get my business to actively do that as part of what it does? Because that's the important bit, isn't it? That's the point. That's why we do all this. We do Power BI, or we push through these modern data analytics platforms, even if you're going to go down the route with, I'm saying even, it's terrible. Selecting a different platform, the challenge is still the same. This was the issue that legacy platforms had, that Microsoft's old SQL Server report services had. It was not agile. Power BI is agile. Tableau is agile. Click is agile. The agility is there if you are prepared to use it. But the usage of it is what gives you the benefit. So if you approach your modern analytics environment with the same mindset and mentality as the, oh, we're going to tell everyone how to do things, this is what you get, here's a pretty picture, off you go, ta-da, right? You're not going to get any benefit. The benefit comes when you empower and you enable people to be able to come together with a hypothesis that they can say, well, we're looking and seeing that people who repeat buy 2 or 3 times are more likely to return products. Or for a retail environment, if somebody buys multiple of the same item or of the same class of item, they're likely to return a number of them. So we see this happens a lot, hasn't it? That there's been retailers who people will go and buy, oh, I'm going to buy 10 jackets and I'll return 9 of them. Probably less than 10, but you know what I mean, like the principle's there. So would it be good to be able to evaluate that and see, is this something that's there? And that might be something that, say, if you are like a retailer, it might be somebody from the tills, oh, do you know what I've noticed, right? That these people, they're buying loads and then they're returning most of them. Okay? So what's the solution? What's the right thing to do with it? But how can they evaluate that? And putting in place your right data platform allows them to evaluate. So they say, well, if somebody buys more than 3 of something, is there a return within 48 hours or within 14 days from it? And then what would be the solution? And the solution in this case, it might be a case of saying, well, should we have a better way of trying things on? Do we need different lights in the changing room to make it like the ability to switch between them? We've got LED lighting now, so we can potentially choose the different temperatures of lights. There's other things, like it might be a case of saying, well, do we need to look and say, rather than just being retail, is this a case of for saying, let's revisit if we should be doing hire for things to actually enable people to hire the items as a try before you buy, or is there something else that we need to be doing? It gives them that ability to build that solution. Now, that solution might never have come from the boardroom, and that's the point. That's what democratization of data means. That's the purpose of doing all this, is how can we get intelligence and insights out from the doers in our business, rather than it being something that's driven from the top down. How can we empower bottom up insight and development and growth of our business? Because fundamentally, if that helps our bottom line, that helps our bottom line, winner, winner, chicken dinner, isn't it? So it's important that we start to think about the development and growth across our business and how good analytic solutions will benefit and empower our teams. So we're going to cover that as part of our next season. Okay? And lastly, one of the things here that we've got, right, is data and KPIs in particular, right, are really problematic. Now, all too often I see KPIs driving bad behaviours across a business. And it's not uncommon to have like KPIs like this kind of thing. This is the default KPI view that comes with Power BI Desktop. Brilliant. Look, we can see the trend. It's great. Okay. But is it driving good behaviours or is it driving bad behaviours? Do people understand what they're looking at when they see a KPI? That's something that's really important to understand. And the next thing is, of course, what are you driving with your KPIs? So what's not uncommon is we can see, and we've got 3 here that we can see that are red, we'd expect some kind of an action to be undertaken to bring that back to green, wouldn't we? The problem is, like, we might have something around here. So we've got the gross profit margin, which is at 74.75%. Well, that's about to go amber, for example. Now people go, oh, we need to do something now to stop it going amber. Hang on, it's about to go amber. It's green. Green and amber are technically should be your normal operating area, yeah? Amber is around saying we're starting to drift towards the red. We need to take some level of action, but that action needs to be known. It needs to be pre-prescribed and understood. So it might be, oh, it's a bit of overtime. We're going to do something else. We'll put some advertising out, or we'll, put some flyers in. There's some level of we understand what we are going to do here, and some level that has previously been approved at a board meeting, ideally. So it kind of, what do you mean? I've approved that my team leaders can offer overtime. There you go, job done, right? You might not have talked about that KPI, but that's kind of the expectation. We will do that to bring it back down. Marketing know what they need to do, when they need to get involved. It's all clear. Once it gets to red, that's then where potentially exceptional activity needs to be taking place. Somebody needs to be thinking a bit more about it. But I think it's important to be aware that the actions that are driven and the visibility and the layering that you show don't always need to be the same. So if we showed our board, cash is green, job's done, is that appropriate, or should they see the next level down? Well, how much is green? Is it heading in the right direction? Is it changing? Would that affect behaviours in a way that would drive a business in a negative trajectory? And those are the things that really we need to cover as we get into the next stage and as we look forward in 2023. So what I was going to do, I think, for our new project is let's go back to the water towers of New York City. Now, this has actually been quietly running behind the scenes, right? But I realised that none of our reports have been updated to show 2022 and beyond. So it's ideal, isn't it? Because we should have come back, we should have looked at it, we should have carried this on. It's my fault. I got dragged into other things, and I thought, actually, where we are right now, we need to cover something else first. Okay, but I think there's a lot we can bring in here in terms of our KPIs, in terms of actually what's going on, being able to look and see what our visuals are doing and how we can better manage our user experience. So in terms of here, where we've got the general inspection, perfect to bring in field parameters. Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun doing that one, I can tell you. And the last bit that's there is, of course, one of the things I wanted to have was this. So the idea of having like a one-pager that a site could have and actually start to look and see. So here where we go, like 76 Beaver Street, which is the post office across the road from the Continental Hotel where that there John Wick stays, it makes sense, doesn't it, that we could say, here is your inspection sheet, you can kind of show it. It might be something like we do with the scores on the doors in the UK, where you say, well, your food hygiene rating is whatever. Potentially, is this something that you might display in your building? I don't know. It's not something I do. I don't work for New York City, strangely, but it's probably worth exploring, and I'm sure there's use cases in there for your business. And the last thing that this does as well is we've got lab usage and we've got inspected by. Now, in terms of the form that's used by those people, it's free text. So in essence, like here we've got Rosenbach Tank & Co. LLC. There's be lots of different variations of that spelling. Now, that's something that I've seen across my career in ERP systems, finance systems for various businesses. And it's something that we need to work out how we're going to tackle as part of our data analytics environment, because let's be honest, it's not a new thing seeing free text fields that are just abysmal, right? The data quality is terrible. It's one of the things that we keep saying that our data analytics projects are going to fix, but the reality is it may not be appropriate to go and say update your general ledger or something else to change the name of whoever it is, right? Things like that you might find we can't actually do. So we have to come up with a way of fixing it as it comes through. as part of our data modelling cycle. So there's a couple of things that I've got in mind. We've done an example here that works really well, but I think we can do better. So I want to go through and have a look and show you maybe a better way, maybe a different way. You might like it, you might hate it, but let's have a look and see, have we got something that will work and that will allow us to see and pull together so that we can see for this company actually how much work have they done, what percentage of our work, of our water tower inspections is done by any particular company. We'll probably go down some notional concept as well. I might look it up actually and see. I'll look it up and see if there's a general cost that would be expected for this. But the goal here is around understanding, isn't it? What's happened across a given period, and we can see that already. So we can see the inspection cycles, and there's definitely kind of it picks up across the year, doesn't it? So what have you reckoned then? 2023 is going to be, I hope, another great year for me businesses. I think we are starting to turn a corner. Data analytics is becoming much more ubiquitous across businesses. The ideas that you can get more out of your business, more out of the data that your business is producing, are definitely starting to come back. I think it was starting to land tail end of 2019, early 2020 for a lot of companies, and then with COVID, it was difficult. We've now got different set of challenges around us, but those challenges I think are going to drive developments further, aren't they? You know, you've got economic challenges. It makes sense to work out how can we become a more efficient business? What costs can we save? How can we drive improvements further into what we do day in, day out? So New York will give us a great way to start, right? We'll look at some really good reporting practices in there. Hopefully we'll be able to bring in some charticulator stuff as well, just looking and kind of seeing, well, how do we build these? Certainly the ways of dealing with free text in ERP systems as they come through, it's really important. So you'll see, I'll show you the solution that's in now and that works, and we'll work on building something that's a bit more Power Platform based rather than the Excel based that we've currently got. The Excel based is useful because often that's what I see. You know, people have copied and pasted things and done things. Being able to automate that and improve it makes a big difference. So let us know. I hope you've all had a great Christmas. I hope you're going to have a great New Year. Take care. Ta-da.